Welcome to the OK Let's Learn podcast. This is two podcasts in one. One where we dive into tons of interesting books and stories, and another where we just dive into tons of interesting topics. My name is Kevin O'Keefe. So today, let's learn all about the cicada killer wasp. Are you kidding me? Yes. Tell me you've heard of this wasp. Tell me. Raise your hand. No way. Yeah, but we're going to learn about it because it's out there. But don't be afraid. It's actually very friendly, but you would never know it's friendly. Here's what happened. Mrs. O'Keefe, she loves going in the pool late afternoon. I end up going in the pool, of course. And Jasper, our 3-year-old Cavapoo, he just likes to harass us. He just likes to circle the pool. And all of a sudden, just last week, he's going a little nuts, barking. He's jumping at something. What's going on? And that's when we saw it. Picture a huge insect, something as big as a dragonfly. We've all seen them around pools, around lakes. Yeah, but this was not a dragonfly. It was big. It was 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. And you get up close, and Jasper ends up running away, and I end up running away. This is one mammoth, huge bee. And I'm like, whoa. Now, just coincidentally and thankfully, who shows up at our door? Like almost at the same time, within hours. My wife, Mrs. O'Keefe, she's screaming and yelling, I can't go in the pool now. So I'm like, what am I going to do? But no, our hero showed up. Peter from EcoShield, our pest control company. We've been using them on and off for the last couple of years. They're worth the investment. Any pest control people that come over. We don't have any mice anymore. We don't have any more insects. We don't have any more ants invading our house. They do a good job. So, he's like, okay, I'm on it. And I had one of them that apparently got in the pool, couldn't survive. He was in our skimmer. So he brings it out to the truck. He's got it in his hand. And he calls the home office and he comes back and he said, it's a hornet. Guess what? It wasn't a hornet because they're back. He sprayed and, hey, listen, I'm all eco-friendly. I'm all for the bees, but not when Mrs. O'Keefe needs to go in the pool. So anyway, I got my crack staff here at the OK Let's Learn podcast. We did some research. And I got to put a phone call back into EcoShield and say, you need to come back. This guy looked like a hornet, and it's so understandable that even the experts got it wrong. This guy is a cicada killer wasp. So, okay, let's learn. I mean, up front, what was so helpful for me, and I think for most of you out there in my audience, what's a bee? What's a wasp? What's a yellow jacket? What's a hornet? What are the differences? We use them so interchangeably. And up front, you got to know that no, a hornet is not a bee. A hornet is a wasp, but a wasp is not a hornet. And maybe a yellow jacket is one or both of them. Listen, this is confusing. But let's break it down. Bees, honeybees, right? And we'll talk about bumblebees in a second, but they're classic. We can go back to my previous episode on honeybees. We have a whole episode. They're fuzzy. They're golden brown. They're about 1/2 inch long. They collect pollen and nectar from flowers, and they live in large wax hives. They make honey, and if you leave them alone, they're pretty nice. Bumblebees. You got to think of a honeybee that's like a big balloon. It's a lot larger. We all know bumblebees, right? They're round, they're fuzzy, and their loud buzzing sound really makes them scary. And yeah, I'm scared of them, but they're usually pretty peaceful, and they spend their days visiting flowers like their cousins, the honeybees. Now, yellow jackets. Guess what? They're not bees. They're wasps. They're smooth instead of fuzzy. They're bright yellow and black. That's why they get confused with the honeybees. And they're fast and they're aggressive. If you're having a picnic outside, that is a yellow jacket. They're invading you, right? And as happened to me last summer, if you're just walking around in bare feet in your lawn, your grass, well, guess what? That's probably a yellow jacket that stings you because they build their nests underground, although some actually, no doubt, like the inside walls, like the hollow trees, and can get into your attic. Now, another wasp that's very popular, especially up here in the Northeast, that if you see like upside down umbrella paper nest that will be under gutters and awnings in, anywhere really in your house, you're talking about a paper wasp. They're long and they're slender and their legs dangle beneath them while they fly. Unlike hornet nests, you can actually see the individual cells where their young develop. Now, finally, before we get to our friend and the purpose of this episode, got to talk about hornets. Here's the thing. They're large social wasps. They have thicker bodies than paper wasps, and they're generally larger than yellow jackets. The bottom line, this is an audio podcast. Google all of these friends that we're talking about so you can see clearly the difference. The true European hornet that lives here in the Northeast, where I am in New Jersey, it's originally from Europe. That's where the name came from. And where is it nest? Hollow trees, same thing as our yellow jacket friends, the attics, the barns, and different cavities inside walls, etc. But you may be thinking, as I had a few summers ago, I had in a front tree and on my property, this long string coming down. I got a basketball hanging down from it, a huge hornet's nest. That's what I thought. That's what everyone thought. But here's the thing. If you ever see this basketball-sized nest, guess what? It's not a hornet. And this is where the confusion lies. Why? Because the name of this creature that makes these nests is a bald-faced hornet. Except a bald-faced hornet is actually not a hornet. It's a yellow jacket wasp. It's a type of yellow jacket wasp. So scientists classify it as a yellow jacket, but since its name, obviously, like I said, is a hornet, for so long, people will say, yeah, it's a hornet. So bottom line, are people correct? Yes in one way and no in another way. It's crazy. You wonder why people are so confused. Bottom line, here's the best way to remember it. Honeybees, bumblebees are bees. Yellow jackets, paper wasps, hornets, and our friend, the cicada killer, are all wasps. So let's meet today's star. The cicada killer wasp is one of the largest wasps in North America. Females often grow to nearly 2 inches long. Proof! I told you. When one flies past you, it really does sound like a tiny drone. Its body is black, mostly black, and then the abdomen, which is the bottom part of the body of the wasp, has got stripes going horizontal. With the naked eye, it seemed like they were white, but they're more a shade of like a yellow, amber, rusty brown. So you've got the stripes of the yellowish, and then you've got stripes of black. That's how you can tell that, no doubt, it's the cicada killer. Its legs are long. Its antennae point forward, or like sticking out like a big V. And when you look at it and you look at it up close, you can see how big these two antennae are. Because of its enormous size, obviously, many people assume it's a hornet, like my Eco Shield guy, Peter. Now, where do they live? where I saw them was a huge marker for, yeah, this is the cicada killer. They fly low to the ground. They hang out near swimming pools. But no question, where did this guy live? He lived under our deck. He lived in this crevice in the concrete. They love loose, well-drained soil. So no doubt, if it wasn't where they were living in my particular yard, they'll be near other patios, sidewalks, retaining walls, certainly golf courses, anywhere. But here's the thing that will distinguish them from other hornets. They're not buzzing all over the place. Like if you see a drone like I did at a recent baseball game, it goes up and it goes down, it goes way up in the air. No, this guy likes to hang out close and just kind of circle near the ground. And in my case, near too close to Mrs. O'Keefe as she's just hanging out here at the pool. So you may be thinking, what's going on here? How come they're just hanging out on the ground? Well, guess what? It's the guys. They're patrolling the territories just a few feet above their nest, and they're constantly looking for females while they're chasing away the other guys. This is why, no doubt, they're buzzing nearby Mrs. O'Keefe. They're not attacking. They're just kind of making sure that they're protecting their home, but they're investigating. The funny part, the males, the guys, they look aggressive, but they can't sting. Only the ladies sting. I don't know. I haven't talked to Mrs. O'Keefe before I'm recording this episode. I'm not sure if she really cares about that or not. But as she would probably tell you, yeah, no doubt. I understand there. I agree. It's the female. It's the female that's the dangerous one. But as I alluded to at the beginning of the episode, while the females can sting, they're pretty gentle. Most guys and the ladies are very gentle. So they look intimidating, they're scary, but they have the calmest and nicest little personality. Isn't that nice? But who named them the cicada killers? And I'm sure you can probably guess, why are they named the cicada killer hornet? Because they eat cicadas. Of course they do. It's the ladies that are the killers. When they find a cicada, they attack. Using a carefully placed sting, they paralyze the cicada. If you're not clear or you're not 100% sure what a cicada is, let me stop for a second because I never addressed this, right? You know that loud buzzing, almost like drone sound in the summertime? You open up your window on a nice night, but it's a hot, muggy, steamy night. You're hearing a cicada. So they actually live underground as babies for years, and then they come out en masse in the summertime, and you'll hear them even in the early evening and afternoons in some cases. And they can be pretty good. Again, Google what a cicada looks like. Almost like an inch long and huge, long, like transparent or translucent wings. I mean, the size of their body, it's almost like they're a big beetle. So our wasp, she, I should say, right? I'll go to right to he. No, it's she. She paralyzes, like I said, doesn't kill. The cicada is still alive. Then comes one of the most amazing parts in nature. The female drags and even sometimes flies with the cicada, and the cicada often weighs more than she does. And as I am recording this episode, I just had a huge flashback. My neighbor, Nick, great guy, he knew about these guys and he showed me the wasp killing the cicada, bringing him, in this case, into his covert lair, into the ground. It really is an amazing part of nature. Hey, if you have young children, maybe not the best thing to show them, but it is truly amazing. So here's what happens once it brings the poor cicada into the burrow. It places the paralyzed cicada into a chamber, sometimes 2 or even 3, depending upon whether she's laying a male or female egg. She lays a single egg on the cicada. What? What's happening? No, the adult wasp is not eating the cicada. It's for its babies. Yes, she lays a single egg on the cicada. Then she seals the chamber. The egg hatches a few days later. The tiny larva begins feeding on the cicada. Yes, you heard that right. If you're a child, cover your ears. Since the cicada is still alive but unable to move, the food stays fresh. Over the next several weeks, the baby larva grows rapidly. Eventually, it spins a cocoon underground. There it remains through the winter. So what happens? The following summer, a brand new adult cicada killer emerges from the soil, beginning the cycle all over again. I don't think I'm going to tell Mrs. O'Keefe about this. How long do they live? Well, in our case, unless EcoShield gets here quickly, they typically live a month and a half during the summer. So their active life hanging out by my pool is not long, and then they're gone by September. The babies, right? They're just hanging out in the ground for the rest of the summer, and then they appear again in the summertime, and the cycle continues. Do they live in colonies? No. Unlike honeybees or hornets, cicada killers are solitary wasps. Each female digs and maintains her own house. However, many females like the same kind of sandy soil. As a result, dozens of burrows may appear in the same area. It does look like a colony, but each female is working by themselves. You got to think of it more like neighborhoods as opposed to an actual hive where everyone is hanging out. And this is interesting, right? Because my neighbor, he knew them. He showed me them. They were hanging out by his driveway. And no doubt, my guy, he definitely likes the moist crack right there and the concrete by the pool, and no doubts underneath the deck. And just to make sure that I bring this point home, every female has got a lot of work to do. Here's what she actually does. She digs a tunnel. She maintains it. She hunts the cicadas. She drags them home. And yes, that's what she actually does. I've seen it. Dragging it across Nick's yard, going into the hole. Then, of course, they lay the eggs and they protect the burrow with the guys. The guys, well, if you want to say he's just hanging out with his Fritos on the couch just watching TV, hey, as a metaphor, it works. But you know what he's also doing? He's protecting the house. So if he hears noises outside, he's right there making sure that mom is okay in the living room. He's a protector. The guy basically, not only does he protect, and that's why he's looking and buzzing around, he's protecting the home, but remember, he is not dangerous. He can't sting you. So if you just see someone floating around near the grounds, it's a guy. He won't hurt you. But don't go near that cicada killer wasp if you see one of them dragging a cicada across the lawn. Yeah, she'll go after you and she'll sting you. So to wrap up our podcast, as much as you may come across them and see what they're doing and it looks horrible, right? And the name just shouts at you, oh my goodness, they're killers. Well, guess what? Everyone out there in the animal kingdom, you're either a prey or you're a predator. So it's nature's system of checks and balances. It all is out there, and they are all out there for a reason. A few fun facts just to wrap up. The female, I mentioned this, but it's digging the tunnel. And in some cases, this tunnel can be 3 feet long. And each of these burrows, they have separate nursery chambers. I alluded to this. The larger chambers actually are for the daughters, and the smaller chambers are for their sons. Amazing. So, next time you look at something that looks like a dragonfly, that looks like some kind of large buzzing bee, It's not a yellow jacket. It's not a hornet. It's a wasp. And in this case, it's a cicada killing wasp. Friends, thanks for taking this journey with me, learning all about this amazing wasp. Reach out to me at kevmok21@gmail.com. Hit that plus button if you don't mind. I love the subscriptions. I love when you rate the podcast, when you give me a review. If you like the podcast, if you're a fan of the podcast, do me a favor and go out and write a review for me. Believe it or not, I don't know who's listening. I know that a lot of you are listening, and this is a joy for me to put this together every day. But appreciate always not only the feedback, but the support. As always, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, you name it. Until next time, have fun and keep learning.